Everyone good? Good to go? All right, welcome UCLA. Head coach Cori Close, Charisma Osborne, and Kiki Price. Coach, we will let you open. And media, please, again, remember to state your name and use players' names for your questions, please.
Give Washington State credit. They executed really well, and when the margin for error in these games is just so small, and they got easier. They out executed us, and they got easier shots, either at the rim or open threes, and we didn't get enough easy shots. We didn't get enough shots at the rim or open jump shots that are created out of our execution and offense, and ultimately that's my responsibility to get us ready and growing for that. You know, every March the amount of transition buckets go down. Teams are really good, and they take that away. You have to be able to execute better in the half court. And my hope is that, and I really believe in this team, that we will have a new level of focus on our half court execution and what we're trying to create, and we have to cut down errors. If we have enough mental errors or possession errors, it's really tough to recover from that, and we had too many today to come out with a victory. So still really proud of our team and who we're becoming, and how we continue to grow. And every single time we've hit adversity, they've made really courageous choices of how to let that adversity teach their hearts and help make them different. And, we always say that you have to choose the pain of regret or the pain of discipline. And right now we're going to have to learn from some of the pain of regret. But if it helps us get a little bit more disciplined, especially with our half-court execution and our defensive game plan, then my hope is that it'll drive us to just that.
Michelle Smith, Pac-12.com. Kiki, what will you take away from today's experience? Not necessarily the X's and O's of it, but what will you take away from this experience that you can use a couple weeks from now?
I think just knowing that, further you get on in March, tournament time, you can't really take plays off. I think there's a few possessions in the beginning and just throughout the game that we didn't execute properly, and we weren't really on our A game. So I think just going forward and knowing that every team's going to be great and they're going to really be out there to execute, to really do what they do. So you have to just take away what they do best.
Michelle?
Cori, you guys, they kept answering every time you guys would push out a little bit. And I know you've talked about your own execution, but, what was the balance of what they were doing well with what you wished you guys were doing better as they continued to answer every time you guys made a push out in front?
Well, it's a balance of, I wish, they started getting deep touches to Bella inside, and then, we had a couple of breakdowns on, their stagger screen action, and they slipped behind us on one and then got a curl layup on another. And so, you can't give up open layups. And then, with Bella, it ended up being an open layup just because she got such a deep touch. And so those are some of the errors. And when we switched and how we switched, I think in, hindsight, ultimately maybe if we could have, I thought, trapped maybe the ball screens a little sooner in my mind, or hindsight is 2020. We had to get them out of rhythm a little bit, which is really hard to do. They're just so disciplined, and you can't be high risk, high reward too much. They adjust too well. But I do think maybe we could have mixed that up sooner. And, those are all the things that I'll look back on and go, how could we have done that? But, the execution part is just, they got layups, they got open threes. And you look at their shooting chart for the season and throughout Pac-12. I mean, that's what they hunt for. And they're just so disciplined not to settle for anything less. And we wanted to try to make them shoot more mid-range jump shots, and we weren't able to make them hit enough of those.
Back row here.
Willie Ramirez with the Associated Press for either Kiki or Charisma. Washington State's offense, obviously, as Coach was saying, finding their spots, but they also had the number one scoring defense in the tournament. And Coach talked about execution, but also what were they doing to limit the space in terms of the defense and sort of suffocating? Was it something they were doing, or do you feel you could have executed better? Because it just seemed as if they were frustrating you ladies, Kiki, especially you in the first half.
I think we definitely could have executed better, set new screens, really play with pace, play with tempo. I think, we played against them twice this season, so we've been able to score on them. I don't think that's necessarily the issue. I think it was more on us being able to execute our offense and kind of get the looks that we want to get.
We talked a lot about how we wanted to handle their switches and get downhill, and I think we needed to do that more to get into 2 feet into the paint and try to get them to collapse so that we could get more open jump shots on kickouts. And we just didn't make quite the right reads of where the seams were to attack those, especially with as much as they were switching screens, and then we didn't get quality enough seals and take advantage when we had a mismatch on inside when they had some of those switches. And ultimately that's my job in the next 11, 12 days is to get us ready to be better when we go into the NCAA tournament.
Front row.
Taking you in with the LA Times for you, Charisma. How do you think this experience in the Pac-12 tournament, playing so many good teams in such a condensed time, will help you guys as you prepare for the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I think it'll help us a lot, especially because the Pac-12, there's so many different styles of play, and in the NCAA tournament, you don't have that many days, and you have to be able to prepare really quickly. So I think it'll help us in that sense of just playing one game and then having to move on and execute the next scouting report.
Jeff?
Jeff Metcalf, Pac-12 Hotline. Cori, there's a lot of talk that Washington just didn't have that much depth this season, but they kind of developed more as they went along. I'm just wondering what you see Tahina has brought to them as the season has progressed, and given them some help off the bench.
Well, she's, I don't consider her off the bench anymore. I mean, you look at how many pressurized minutes she's been playing. I think when I looked at it, I could be a little bit off, but she's averaging like 26 minutes a game over the last several games. And, I think she's really confident right now, and they've done a really good job of developing her confidence along the way, and I think, they know their roles so well. And I think, what she knows is she needs to get downhill, and she needs to be a good pick and roll passer with Bella. And, even the way she's playing defense is a whole lot better than it was the first time that we saw her. And so credit to her and to them for developing that. She's a huge key for them, I think. It allows them to take Ledger Walker off the ball and bring her off of more off-ball screening actions. Go ahead, Michelle.
Cori, you've been in this conference a long time. Will you just speak to what Cammie's done at Washington State?
Yeah, Cammie, I told her I happened to ride down the elevator with her and her mom today, and then talked to her a little bit before the game, and just, that is a really hard job, and what she has done and done it creatively with really committing to the international, recruiting, and then just playing a style that really takes advantage of their high IQ players, and they play a real international FIBA kind of style of play, and play with great discipline and pace. And, I think that her staff, her entire staff has just been, they've gotten players that fit what they're trying to do. And it reminds me somewhat of what she and Ded Patterson did at Kansas State, that's a tough place to recruit to, and they don't do it like everybody else. They find their own niche, and they really recruit to that niche, and then they execute like crazy. And so credit to them. I mean, Cammie's done a heck of a job, and I have a ton of respect for not only the way they play, but for the reasons in which she coaches.
Any final questions? One here in the back.
Gabriel Inocente, Doug TV. Coach, when a team that finished 7th in the conference makes a run like that, what does that say about the talent and the depth that you have to play?
Yeah, I mean, we were tied for 4th, and they were 7th, and it was like, and it's not like we cruised through. We had to upset people and go take wins, and so I think that's probably the biggest story of this tournament is that everybody talks about how deep their conference is and how good their conference is. And numerically, we had the non-conference schedule, in terms of our winning percentage bore out. You talk about net ratings, that bore out. But then you prove it again in the way that this tournament played out. And I just think, I think that's why Oregon should be in the tournament. That's why we should be hosting. That's why, nobody wants to play Washington State in the NCAA tournament, because this conference is so deep. It prepares us so well because there's such a varied styles, as Charisma referred to. But the conference is as good as it's ever been in my mind. And, that isn't – I just think that this tournament is a narrative that proves it. It's not just coaches trying to campaign.
All right, we'll close on that.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it.